Hello, hello. My name is Claire.
And I'm Mel.
And together we are
the Salty Hoes.
Coming at you again from the Morador corridor. We must have said that in a wee minute. With a interesting topic today. Maybe a more hard-hitting, less humorous than we normally do.
I feel like we're still going to make jokes.
Probably.
However,
yes,
there might be a little more element of seriousness to this, because I think it's fair to say that we are both fucking pissed.
Yes, we're like mad.
Yeah.
And I know we sound a little subdued, but it's that churning, burning, low level, just enough is fucking enough kind of burn.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah, it's gross. So you may have realized at this point that we're going to talk about men, and not making any apologies for that intro.
Nope.
And we're going to speak specifically about the Rape Academy.
Yep.
That was just this wonderful news story, week and a half ago?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago maybe, that just broke. Of course, this is something that's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, well, it's not like new, but I think like the volume, as in the amount of men making visits to the Rape Academy site, and also the name, like, of having an actual academy, as in learning to do really terrible things, was just so gross.
Yeah, it was shocking. It was stomach churning. We're upset. We're mad.
We are. And so we want to talk about it today, because we would imagine that some of you want to talk about it too, or at least know that you're not alone, or maybe you're tired having to say, oh, but not all men, because at this point...
Well, it might not be all men, but I think we're going to talk about bro code a little bit, and how the actions of many men, even if they're men that would never directly physically harm a woman, how these actions actually support and enable some of these things to happen.
And I think that's important to talk about in any circumstance, right? Because we know that silence is complicity, or means you're complicit. That's one of those words I can't say again. In many circumstances, right? You could apply that to many things. And I think the bro code here is a thing in that regard. And also, if you're being silent at this point, men, then you are complicit.
Yeah, and if you're unaware, well, then this would be a great first action to take. Listen to this whole podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe do a little self-reflection.
Yep.
Whatever.
Send it to the salty bros in your life. And also, if you haven't heard about this by now, are you the Rhode Island ostrich? Like, is your head buried in the motherfucking ground?
Is that a fucking ostrich?
Is that a fucking ostrich? Well, clearly the men that say they haven't heard about it yet are those fucking ostriches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that case, they're not off the hook.
No. So we're just going to call it what it is today.
We are.
Sorry, not sorry.
So buckle up, bitches.
Yep.
Here we go.
Here we go. And, little trigger warning. Obviously, we've already alluded to it, discussing sexual violence, sexual assault. We know that can be triggering for some people. So, do what you need to do. If this is an episode to skip because it feels like too much, totally get that. And just know ahead of time we're going to be mentioning those things.
Yeah, that's right. Specifically, that disclaimer is for our listeners who have been on the receiving end of sexual violence, sexual assault, etc. You're not off the hook because you're a man that doesn't want to listen to us bash men. Sorry.
I love that clarification. Yes, if this makes you feel uncomfortable or you feel defensive, then put on noise-canceling headphones with our voices in it, please. And sit down and make yourself comfy and listen, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so maybe I would like to actually start with the title that I think we're going to use, which goes back to, how long ago was it? A year or two ago, when it was like the man versus bear controversy.
Yes.
Like if you're out hiking alone, which, by the way, I do all the time.
Yeah.
Really on a near daily basis.
Yeah.
Okay, often I have my dog, but not always. Would you rather run into a man or a bear? And this turned into one of those internet kerfuffles, maybe, is the word.
Kerfuffle.
I love that word.
I know.
It's really fun.
A wee kerfuffle.
Yes, a kerfuffle, where so many women were saying, well, I would choose the bear.
Yeah.
And so many men felt like they were being personally attacked. Like the amount of men that were so butthurt by this, kerfuffle. I mean, and the responses, I think, ranged from lighthearted and funny to quite serious.
Yes.
It was all over the board.
Yep. And I think from what I remember, the original statistics were 9 out of 10 women said they'd pick the bear.
Yeah, it was quite a lot.
Yeah, it was high. And then from that initial study, then it was supported by all the women that were like, haven't thought about it like that before. But yes, because the bear is more predictable. I also have techniques, depending on what kind of bear it is, to lay down and play dead, to make myself big. And they'll probably work, right?
Have you ever encountered a bear in the wild, Claire?
I have not encountered a bear. I have definitely been on hikes where people have said there is a bear here. So I've been on bear alert. But, actually, I'm lying. I was at Yosemite, and I did see a little family of bears, actually.
Aww.
It was very cute.
So cute.
I didn't feel afraid.
Yeah.
There was other people, and I mean, they're very tame there, I think, because they see a lot of people.
They're very habituated to people. What they're really after in Yosemite is your coolers.
Yes, not your foot.
Yeah.
Have you seen them hiking?
I have seen bears many times, actually, in the wild. I have not seen them here in Utah, to be clear, but I have seen them many times up in Wyoming. I've seen them in Yosemite as well, and I have seen them in Alaska.
Yeah.
And a bear is something when you see it in the wild, you want to have a healthy respect for. My experience with being very close to them, actually, in Alaska, and these would be brown bears, so quite dangerous.
Yes.
Potentially.
Is that
right?
the make yourself big response
bear?
bear?
Well, there's a cute little rhyme. Do you know what it is?
I do not.
Oh, okay. So we have various species of bears, right? So in North America, we have black bears.
Yeah.
We have brown bears, which are also sometimes called grizzly bears.
Yes.
And we have polar bears.
Yes.
Okay. So the rhyme goes, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night.
Oh, yes. I do know that about polar bears.
Yeah.
And in Alaska, I've watched some documentaries where they roam around people's towns, and it's just that's very bad.
No, you definitely don't want to meet a polar bear in the wild. In that case, I would probably pick the man, because a polar bear is predictable in the sense that it will eat you.
It will eat you all up.
Yeah, it's a generalist predator, and it will pretty much eat anything that it can get its paws on. And they're also massive killing machines, so they're something big. You want to encounter alone in the wild. Oof. Now, a brown bear, my experience with brown bears has never been terrifying. In Alaska, I've done a couple of bear viewing type things. Most recently, last summer in Katmai National Park, where the bears are all feeding on the salmon. So if you've ever seen those pictures or videos where they're fishing for salmon,
that's cool.
I think we saw over 75 bears that day in one day.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was wild. Some of them from the air, like the light plane, some of them from the ground, because we were just hiking around.
Yeah.
In some cases, we were within 20 feet of bears.
Oh my goodness.
The bear had no interest in us as humans whatsoever. They were eating salmon. So their job was just to eat salmon and get fat for the winter.
Sounds like a good life, honestly.
Well, until the winter comes. The Alaskan winter seems like no joke.
That would be long, yeah.
But I did not really feel unsafe at any time. I mean, it's definitely, you're like, oh shit, this is real. But none of them made any sort of aggressive moves or any indication that they would be a problem.
Well, and I think it's worth noting, too, that, for maybe our listeners outside Utah, because I have to say, as a wee foreigner coming here, that it was a shock to me, the amount of wildlife that actually is here. Back home, it was like cats, dogs, and foxes. That was about it. And here, there are mountain lions.
Yes.
And there have been videos of people on a hike and seeing mountain lions. And when I hike, I do carry pepper spray, but mostly for men, honestly.
Yeah, really though.
Yeah, but I always think, oh, well, if I see an animal, I have it just in case. But I have always led with the fear of men, because I hike alone too. I like to trail run alone as well, and that's usually why I'm packing the pepper spray.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be more afraid to meet a puma in the wild, or a mountain lion, or a cougar, or whatever you want to call it, than I would be a bear, because mountain lions do occasionally attack people with the intent of eating them. It's quite rare, but it does happen.
And they're fast and scrappy too.
And oftentimes, I wonder, I've never seen one here in Utah. I had to go all the way down to Patagonia to see puma in the wild, but but they're there, and you're like, I wonder how many have seen me. Yeah. So back in 2022, there was a lion attack in Mill Creek on the Pipeline Trail.
Yeah.
And I was actually there 2 hours after the attack. The woman escaped with minor injuries. They think the mountain lion was actually startled. Like, she wasn't stalking them, but was on the trail, and they came around. And anyway, there was, they later destroyed the cat, which is sad, but you understand, right? You can't have that happening on the trail. So that would be more frightening than a bear. That being said, a bear is nothing to mess with. You do want to take that seriously.
Yeah, I wouldn't be messing with the bear, but
But statistics say we should be much more frightened of the men.
Yes. And that's, as I say, that's my main motivation in the pepper spray while going on a hike is men.
Yeah.
Is, or if you're walking to your car at night, or, it's definitely something I bought for my daughters at quite an early age. And I think about that often in terms of, I have a son and I have 2 daughters, and I believe that I have raised my son to not be a jerk. And
can confirm your son is lovely.
Well, thank you. We both have sons, and I wouldn't believe in that they, have had. Well, here's the thing. I'm not being clear here. Our sons are also not immune to society, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And schools, and some of the ideas that get put into their heads. But I just think about the difference. This is what I'm getting at in terms of, from a very young age, I was teaching my daughters to protect themselves.
Right. As is sad to say, but it's an essential thing that they actually have to learn. Yes, should we live in a world where they don't have to worry about that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But until we're teaching all the men, not to rape, then we do have to teach our young women how to protect themselves from that.
100%. And, things like pepper spray and shanks, and I have even had a taser at one point.
Oh wow.
Just because it's something that you have to consider, that I think maybe a lot of men, that's their privilege, right? They can just go walk at night and not think anything of it.
Nope. Just carefree.
Yes.
Were you taught as a child, because I was, or at least as a teenager, to arrange your keys in your hand? So they're kind of like the brass knuckles, right?
Yeah.
So like one pointing out between each finger so that you could punch with like a fistful of keys?
Yeah. From a teen, you are taught ways to protect yourself.
Yep.
And, I think it's worth noting that I grew up in an area of conflict.
Yes.
And I was still more scared of men.
As you should have been.
Than bombs.
Yeah.
Or shootings.
Yeah.
Which were done mostly by men.
Right. But again, like the stats would say, that's a more rational fear.
Yeah. And I was like walking home late at night, or, and there was things happening often, and that was more of my fear.
Yeah. Completely reasonable.
Yeah. Walking with your, like you say, your keys sticking out. So
yeah, of course, I don't really have a lot of physical keys anymore. So
I know,
I guess.
What are these car manufacturers trying to do to us? They've given us a plastic fob to keep in our pocket. We have to get more creative with our weapons.
Maybe buy some brass knuckles. I don't know. Yeah,
nunchucks.
Something.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy, and I would imagine that there would be people that would classify us as violent, or why do you need all that, or
Well, first of all, self-defense isn't violence.
Yeah.
I have never had to use my fistful of keys before, but it was certainly something that was explained.
Yeah.
Also growing up, I remember at least 2 times, and one of them I actually think was through church. So kudos to the ward for this, I suppose.
Yeah.
Having a cop come and teaching us self-defense techniques.
Oh wow.
Like if you are assaulted by a stranger, how do you get out of that, right?
Yeah.
Given that most women cannot win a fight physically against a man. So the point is, how do you hurt them, fast enough that you can run away, essentially?
Yes.
That's really what it is.
Yeah. Well, kudos to the ward. That
Yeah.
was very progressive.
I know, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
California Mormons.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
So credit where it's due.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's worth noting, too, that I think by the time I was maybe 17 years old, I had been groped twice in the street.
Oh, yeah.
By that young age. The first time, I didn't even really realize what was happening at the time. And it wasn't until sort of after I was like, wait, what? Like, just happened there? And yeah, like, what do you do about that?
Yeah, it's kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
Same. I was definitely groped and sexually assaulted while I was a child. Okay.
My God.
Yeah. Even I remember pretty early, like in middle school, we had an exhibitionist that used to come to the track early in the morning and expose his erect penis to the girls running around the track.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it was just known by the
It
size
was
of
just
things.
known. It was just known.
Just a thing he
Yeah,
does.
just a thing. He was on the
Bless
other
him.
side of the fence and like in the bushes, right?
Oh,
Just
God.
like exposing himself to the teens and preteens, right? Because
That
this is middle school.
Wild.
Yeah.
Because I have similar experiences where you know of people in the neighborhood or things that happen and you're just like, what? Why didn't nobody do anything about that?
Yeah.
Like, surely it didn't, it didn't happen in isolation. It was repeated. You just expected to see him in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Right. It's like, oh, I wonder if we're going to see like that guy today.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Disgusting.
That's insane.
Or, highly sexualized comments from the time, as early as 11 or 12
Yes.
from adult men.
Yeah.
Adult men in the ward, adult men at school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about before in both our leaving episodes, your shoulder shame in the ward.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
With your prom dress and my legs that I was distracting the bishopric and the men sitting on the stand. I mean, who even articulates that of a child?
Yeah.
Because you are a child.
Yep.
Like a teen is a child.
Yep.
You are just put in sexual terms from such a young age to, I don't know, you're old because there is no cutoff point, it seems, when you look at sexual assault with even older women, like old age pensioners have been raped.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it was funny, in air quotes, the other week I was walking to a yoga class and my son was like, Mom, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Oh,
I don't know if you
sweetie.
should do that. And I was like, son, it's like a couple of blocks and I am old now, because the horrifying thing is, and my two daughters have noted this, that they got catcalled more as like a preteen and a teen than they do as adults.
Yeah, that would be my experience as well. I mean, I still get catcalled, but it was pretty intense when I, like, probably from the age of 11 or 12 till early 20s, I would say more of it. Yeah.
Which is like horrifying.
Disgusting.
On this occasion where I was like, I'm going to walk to yoga, and, my wee son was trying to be very lovely, and I was like, it's fine. Like, I have reached the invisible stage of life, which is wonderful. No.
Not to predators.
No. I got about 2 blocks before a man pulled up and said, do you want to ride?
Ew.
And I was like,
No.
no, fuck off. And like, I think when you're older, it's different than when you're like a teen, right? Because it's more nefarious and scary, but it's still scary. It's still alarming.
Right.
And you're like, can I not walk 2 blocks?
Right.
When I am clearly like old enough to be your mother, person that's asking, like,
Yes.
what the hell? And another fucked up part of that is men think we feel flattered.
Yeah, that's right.
And even the nice guys, like I remember from a teen, from being a teen, where you would mention somebody catcalling or saying something and they'd be like, oh, but it must be flattering. No.
Not when you're afraid for your safety, it's not.
Never.
Not when you're suddenly looking around thinking, where are my exits?
Yes.
Right? Like, is there any help? Like, if I scream, who's going to hear me?
Exactly. And, I think just a data point to show how unseriously any of that is taken, women have been told for decades, shout fire. Right. Because apparently shouting, "Help, a man is touching me," will not bring people
to no reinforcements.
It must be a fire.
Right.
Like, what?
So fucked up.
It's so fucked up. Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. But,
it's not good.
I do want to mention, maybe this is a good place to transition, that we're talking a lot about men, not exclusively, but men we don't know, strangers that are catcalling, that are coming up and offering us rides, that are groping us on trains or the airport or like in a public space at a concert. This has happened to me more times than I can actually count. Like I couldn't even make a list of incidents of how many times I've been groped in a public space because it's so pervasive.
And sadly, you're not alone.
Right. Yeah, that's not unique to me, friends. That's nothing really to do about me except for the fact that I'm a woman, right? So that seems to be a target. However, we should also mention that most rapes, sexual assaults, and physical violence are perpetrated on women by someone they know. So not a stranger, not a drive-by groping, but an intimate partner or a family member.
Yeah, which is so disturbing because you believe that those are the quote-unquote safe men in your life, and yet they are responsible for these terrible actions, either sexual assault or death in some cases.
Yep.
And I think that's something to highlight about this rape academy, that most of it was, how do I drug and rape my partner?
Yes.
Not
That's exactly
strangers.
what it was. No, not strangers.
Partners.
Yes. And by the way, this is a worldwide phenomenon. So, statistics for rape and sexual assault notoriously are a little bit tough, and they're probably all underestimates because of the problem of reporting. Okay, reporting can be very difficult for people. There can be retaliation. There can be fear in some places more than others, but including here in the United States. So it's probably a massively underreported phenomenon. That being said, worldwide, it's estimated that at least a minimum of 1 in 3 women have been physically abused or raped, I should say, most often by a partner or family member.
That is very high.
Extremely high.
And as you say, 1 in 3 is probably a very conservative estimate.
That's right.
Because I have personal experience of, and also know people that have personal experience of, men who maybe have harmed them in some way, that by the time they don't even get to the point of reporting it to another person because the man is like, that didn't happen.
Oh, right. The gaslighting. Yeah, absolutely.
The gaslighting, particularly in this case of not a stranger, but an intimate partner. I had one partner that was like, if you bring this up, you'll never see me again. And I was like, but then maybe you don't do shitty things. And they were like, I've told you before. I have been accused of this before, which should have been a red flag to me.
Yeah.
And I later found out multiple women accused of the same thing, and the strategy there was to just say it didn't happen.
Right.
And actually do something similar to what we've seen lately in a Mom Talk story of then flip it and be like, she's crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
But she's crazy. I took this video of her losing her shit.
Being crazy. Yeah.
Yep. Which is why I was very much, I want to know what he did. I'm not saying he did or didn't, although we do have more facts now that he in fact did.
Yeah.
But I'm always skeptical.
Yeah, right. I mean, as far as that night, we don't specifically know. However, we do have physical evidence now that Taylor Frankie Paul was physically abused by Dakota. Yeah. Did she physically abuse him as well? Seems like, but also definitely he was abusing her. So. Yeah.
There it is. Right. There it was.
Most of us, though, don't fight back.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's a multitude of reasons why, and I would suggest a big one is confusion and disbelief.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is what therapists, people more qualified than us, say is one of the main outcomes of abuse, mental and physical, is confusion.
Sure.
And so you doubt it happened. Also, I think a lot of men will say it was in self-defense, or I was restraining you, or something along those lines.
Or they'll just purely gaslight and say you're misremembering it. It didn't happen in that way that you are saying, right?
Yes.
I have the correct version,
Yeah.
right? That exonerates me, and let me
Yeah.
impress that upon you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we look at this academy, I mean, a lot of women were not even aware that it's happened to them.
Right. And that, I think, was maybe the most horrifying and shocking part of that, especially, for you and I. We're definitely no stranger to this phenomenon,
Yeah.
I would say. But the widespread nature of this, quote, rape academy, and the fact that this was violence perpetrated against women who were largely unconscious deliberately,
Yeah.
right, was kind of the shocking part. And it wasn't actually shocking to me that happened, because I know it happened,
Yeah.
but the number of people involved. So we heard in 1 month, 62 million views of one of these sites. And there are more than one, but this is like the
That's
one that they
one.
sort of did the expose on.
Yeah.
There were over 20,000 videos of so-called sleep content on this site.
My God.
Sleep content meaning you are drugging your intimate partner and raping her while she is asleep. They mentioned specifically that these, quote, eye check videos were among the most popular, where they would sort of lift the eyelids of their unconscious partner to show that she's completely out, then proceed to rape her and post this video on the internet.
Wow. I mean, just wow on so many levels.
Yeah.
Like the level of perversion and just sick fucks that want to go online and watch that content.
These are sick fucks, and it's a whole community, right?
Yeah.
These message boards where they're discussing strategies to do it.
Yeah.
I pulled a couple of quotes from the CNN article. That's one of many articles that were written about it.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I read one of these?
Go on ahead.
Okay, so this says, quote, when Zoe Watts learned that her husband of 16 years had been crushing her son's sleeping medicine into her tea and raping her while she was passed out, it shattered her world. Quote, we worry about who's coming behind us walking down the street or who's even friending us on Facebook. We worry about going to our car late at night in a car park, but we don't worry about who you lie next to. I didn't realize I had to, Watts said. Her then-husband's confession came on an otherwise ordinary Sunday in 2018 after the couple, who share 4 children, had returned from church. Quote, he reeled off a list of his wrongdoings as if it was, a shopping list. He told her the abuse had been going on for years. He just sort of said, I've been using our son's sleeping medication to put in your last cup of tea at night, to tie you down, take photographs, and rape you. Her ex-husband is serving an 11-year sentence for rape, sexual assault by penetration, and drugging.
My God.
This was one of several similar stories that were exposed in that article.
That is, there's no words for that. Like, how on earth would that poor woman ever trust again?
How could you?
How could you ever trust?
Yeah.
Like, that is just 4 children with somebody, and they're doing that, and there's no words for that.
Yeah, and this casual confession after church.
Yeah.
Right?
Like church.
Like, oh, hey, and by the way, I've been raping you in your sleep for the past several years.
No biggie.
Yeah.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Oh my God. Well, we had a legislative member here in Utah, I believe a couple of years ago, who was proposing an oddly specific bill that if your wife was unconscious and you had sex with her, it wasn't rape.
What?
Yeah.
Actually, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, remember that? And you're just like, wait, what?
Yeah, you're right. That is oddly specific.
Yeah.
You're like, are you telling on yourself,
Right?
sir?
Are
you a little
Yeah.
Are you on Rape Academy?
Right? Like, why would you propose that? I believe, thankfully, it didn't pass, which is
thank goodness.
the good news. But it's also quite recent. I think it was like in the 80s where it was actually declared not legal to rape your wife.
Right.
I mean, it was very recent history that apparently it was okay to do that, conscious or unconscious.
Yeah, and I think there is still that attitude. So in the same article from CNN, it talked about, I think it was the same woman, the battle to arrest and convict her husband. She said she basically lost her entire social network.
Yeah.
And that she got a lot of questions like, well, it's your husband, so why does it matter?
My God.
I know, that was I'm shocked to my core.
Yes. It's like, do I not even deserve to feel safe with the man who claims to love me and committed my life
In my own home, in my own
Right?
bed.
Like, it's worse, people.
Yeah.
It's worse.
That is worse.
It's not better. It's worse.
Right.
And yeah. I mean, I don't personally understand. I get that people have kinks. I totally, yeah, sure, all good. Consensual kinks are great. This is not a consensual kink.
No.
This is about power. It's about harm.
Yes.
It's about taking advantage of somebody who you know has implicit trust in you.
Yeah.
That's very bad.
I hesitate to even call this a kink because it is just, like, I don't even have words for how disgusting this is. I mean, when I think of kink, I think, oh, it's just something kind of
like
specific that gets you off.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to want to participate in that, and that's fine, right? But like, if your kink is having sex with someone who's asleep, then that could be a conversation you had and prior consent given, right? Role play, et cetera.
Pretend.
But that's not what this is about. Like you said, this is about control. This is about that feeling of power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just complete and total abuse and perversion.
100%.
Like, it is very bad. And, you know, I think, and this probably people would push back on this, I think it's a conversation worth having. You said something in one of our previous podcasts that, you know, was a little more lighthearted about terrible dating experiences, but it struck me so hard when I listened to it back. I'm like, damn, Melissa Rella is a sage, which I always knew.
Thank you.
I always knew this, but like the way you talked about it in terms of, we'd been discussing the man who was way off in left field, accusing me of already withholding sex we had never had. And,
oh yeah, Mr. Shortstick.
Yes, and you were like, you know, where does this entitlement come from, that you are somehow, if you were in partnership, even just like loosely dating, that you are somehow entitled to sexual relations from this woman?
Oh, yeah. I remember how angry I was. I was so pissed. I listened to that back, too, and I was like, wow, I was really mad. Because I was really mad.
Yeah.
I mean, even the use of the word withholding implies that sex was something that he deserved from you, that he was owed from you, even in a very early stage of dating where you're not exclusive, that for you to not want to have sex was, quote, withholding it. And somehow using that as a tool of manipulation. I mean, that is so many disgusting, misogynistic, things rolled up into one. It's disgusting. But what we're talking about today is that sense of entitlement. And we're seeing it with these husbands too. They're like, oh, my wife is just my property, I guess, to like rape as I see fit. Yeah,
I can just go ahead and do this, and it's fine because marriage is consent, or apparently just loose dating is also consent now.
Yeah.
I mean, committed to anyone.
Absolutely. I've run into this in committed relationships as well, where it was assumed to be my duty to put out as often as he wanted. And not just to put out, actually, but to initiate it.
Oh my God.
Essentially every night at 8:15, right?
Oh, dear Jesus. Set your watch.
Yeah, right. And if I wasn't doing so, then I was failing in my duties, right?
Oh my God.
What this person apparently thought he was owed.
Yeah. That's
with no
horrifying.
Effort, right, on his part. So
you're here to service. It's like a car. You're here to service a car.
Yeah, I'm like, am I a sex toy? Like, am I just like your fleshlight? Like, what?
God.
Come on now.
I am so sorry that it's, and this is all. These would be the men that would describe themselves as the good guys.
Yes.
The good guys. I would never do anything like that.
Right.
You could argue this is on a spectrum.
It's on a spectrum.
The root, the core, is the same: entitlement, access to women, all of the same things. Like the root is the same.
Yes.
Because I don't know that I've ever scheduled a man or demanded that I be satisfied a certain amount of times per week. I've heard a lot of women, I had a friend who was getting married, and pre-marriage, he basically wrote it down and said, here is the expectation for sex.
Yes. And I mean, I've heard from many women that this is the case as well.
Yeah.
And I think there's something else going on here as well. I don't think it is that women necessarily have lower sex drives, although there are times when that can be true, such as when you've just given birth.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of women I've told me that are like, oh, their husbands are like pissed because they're not putting out like after 2 months or 3 months. You're like, you're not even healed down there. Like,
no.
Right.
Do they have any idea how it feels to push a large object out of your vagina?
Yeah, it's like a bowling ball, right? Like, come on now.
My God.
Right, but
it's so hard for them.
Yeah, it's so hard for me that I haven't had sex for a few months.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like, get a toy, use your hand, something. But like, you're not owed sex by this woman who just, pushed a baby out of her vagina. And also
your baby.
Right, your baby, who probably actually hasn't slept really since then, right? More than a couple hours at a time, and who is constantly being like touched and sucked on by another human, which is great, but also makes you maybe less likely to want to be touched and sucked on by another human after you've put one of them to bed.
Yeah.
Right? That's a real phenomenon.
That is fair. And I mean, you are the science person in our beautiful duo. I would imagine that some aspect of that is nature, right? Like you're in those early stages, you're raising your young, you are, feeding your young. Your body is kind of doing a different thing for that little short period of time.
And I also think it's just exhausted when you're growing this little human. So that's one phenomenon. I think another phenomenon, though, this might even be a whole episode, I'm not sure, is this idea that sex, and I'm just going to talk through this, so I don't think this is going to be very articulate, right? But essentially putting the penis into the vagina and ejaculating is sex, and everything else is foreplay, okay? Including whatever like gets the woman off, okay? And for a lot of women, many women, the majority of women, you need some stimulation of the clitoris to actually orgasm, right? So not all women can come simply by vaginal penetration. In fact, it's probably the minority that could come only from that.
Yes.
Right? So this kind of branding that like the sex, like the real event is the man ejaculating. So it's his pleasure and everything else is, quote, foreplay, right? I think that's really problematic, right? And I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but it reflects an attitude that the man's pleasure is paramount and that the woman's is either superfluous or maybe a nice bonus.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
A little bonus. You were very articulate and very clear. And I think it's just like a story. It's almost like a cultural myth, right? That you're sold that's what sex looks like, and that's the end result. And it didn't happen. Intimacy didn't happen unless it ends with that event,
right?
Which is, of course, essential to conceiving a child. But
but most of the time we ain't doing that.
We're not doing that. That is not the intent. That is not. In fact, you're probably trying to actively prevent that.
Yes.
The majority of times, men and women alike, and it's all fundamental to understanding how on earth things like this can happen. It's nipping that shit in the bud, not shutting down the rape academies, but actually changing the way we think about women, that we think about sex. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I must go back. It was just auto-playing many podcasts, as I typically do, but they were talking about the myths around the female orgasm, and I remember like vividly, I don't believe a person sat me down and told me it one day, but this idea, particularly if you were trying to get pregnant, that if you orgasm, there's a better chance of getting pregnant, because you will help the sperm along its way to find the egg. And hello, the reverse is true. It rejects and expels things from your body, which is why orgasms can feel great when you're having period cramps.
Oh my God. It feels so good. Thank you.
Yes.
Like the first 2 days.
Yes.
It's like, I get it's a mess, but just like come to the shower and just like pound it out. It feels so good.
Right. Because it literally contracts.
Yeah.
And, and I'm just in disbelief that I thought this was correct for like most of my adult life. And then you're like, wait a second. That's right. Like, it's actually expelling, drawing in. So I don't know. It's just wild to think about all the myths that are out there surrounding sex.
A lot of myths.
Yeah.
I really hate the de-emphasis of the female orgasm.
Yeah.
Sidebar, I feel like an orgasm is also a great headache cure most of the time.
It's a good cure for most things.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I know, right?
And it's, little sidebar from talking about the serious topic, but, how come it's like always achievable 100% of the time by yourself?
I know,
Not
right?
always during sex.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. So, yeah.
All right. So back to our topic.
Yep.
Rape Academy, which, to be clear, of course, we should be shutting this down.
Yeah. What did happen? I never knew, I heard about it, but I didn't hear next steps. Did you hear next steps?
I'm not sure if I heard next steps.
Yeah.
That might still be in progress.
Yeah.
I kind of just read a couple of the exposés.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you would imagine, as you noted earlier, this isn't the only one.
No. No. I mean, there's
definitely not.
stuff sort of everywhere. I mean, and I think we have to mention Giselle Pellicot, right, in France. So that wasn't from this Rape Academy site, as I understand it. That was a separate internet community sort of focused on the same thing, right? And if you don't remember that case, although I doubt anyone's forgotten, but just in case you don't recognize the name, Giselle Pellicot was raped by at least 50 men, facilitated by her husband, who drugged her to be unconscious and then invited men over to rape her. And at least 50 men, we should say. So her husband, Dominique, and I think 50 other people were convicted.
Horrific.
I'm
glad they were convicted because, let's face it, it doesn't always happen that they are.
Well, it doesn't, but Giselle, in addition to being incredibly brave and strong, I mean, God, our hats are off to her. But in terms of a legal case, she was lucky in the sense, and only in the sense, that her husband had saved video. So there was a mountain of evidence. It was not just her saying it or being like, oh, I think something happened or whatever. She had a huge pile of evidence that she submitted to the court, and it was very damning and it was very clear.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the most horrifying aspects of that particular case was, as I remember, she lived in sort of like a reasonably small community. Like, it wasn't like she was living in a major city.
Yeah.
And so you would imagine most of these men knew her, or she knew them, or of them, maybe.
I'm not sure, because he definitely was soliciting this over the internet. So people might have driven to, do that.
Not necessarily her.
Not necessarily in the same town. I'm actually not sure, but I think he was mostly getting these people from this internet community.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just cannot, the psychological distress for her of not remembering, of not knowing, of, oh my God, what state is my sexual health in here?
Yeah, and then watching those videos with your unconscious self as the star. Horrific.
Absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
It's just wild to contemplate. I should mention, maybe I in hindsight, believe there may have been 2 occasions where a partner put something in my drink.
Oh, no.
But I don't, it's just been more sort of putting things together and things not making sense, or reaction to a drink not making sense. In hindsight, I could be totally wrong. But with all of these things coming out or happening, and I'm not saying that that's what occurred as a result, because I actually have some different ideas around that given the timing of it. It was more to, maybe make me unavailable. But it's just so harrowing that there are chunks out of people's lives that they had no awareness that this was happening, on top of the fact that this actually happened. It's multiple layers.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to just, who is thinking of this? Who is thinking that this is an okay thing to do?
Well, a number of people with over 20,000 videos and 62 million views of them. Let me read you another quote because this kind of goes back to what you were saying before from the CNN expose. Quote, after waking up a few times to her partner violently raping her, this woman, last name Stanhope, knew something was wrong and asked him to stop. Instead, she said she was gaslit. He would then turn on me and say, well, you're on too much medication. You must be imagining it. That doesn't happen. You're mental. You're crazy.
Wow. Here we get the trope of the crazy woman again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Exactly.
It turns out.
Yeah.
Turns out she was not.
She was not. No.
Yeah.
She was being raped.
Which she suspected was actually happening.
Yeah, which it was actually happening.
That is
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about like some of these drugs. I was at the dive shop I go to the other day, and love this place. Oh my God, the owner Lori, such a delight. She's so great.
That's so cool.
But one of the dive pros was there, and he's a great guy too. Actually, he was like, you know what? Where do people even like get these drugs? And I was like, that's actually a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna go like dig a little bit in the internet.
Or know what they are, like the lay person with no medical experience.
Yeah, well, I guess they are on the Rape Academy getting tips and tricks from other men. So they talked to someone, or at least on the message board, there was a user who had a business, and he was based in Spain, I think, and he was offering these drugs for like €150, and he would just package them and send them to people. But also, I think that probably the main source is kind of people that are selling prescription drugs, right? So they've bought them from someone, or they've stolen them, or like whatever, and then they're selling them. Yeah. So in terms of date rape drugs, we've all heard of roofies.
Yes.
Now that particular drug, Rohypnol, I think is the brand name or whatever. I think that one's not so common in the United States, but there's other benzos that work similarly. So GHB would be one of the main ones. That's gamma hydroxybutyric acid. That's used as a recreational drug. Yeah. Okay, so that's like lollipops or whatever, but it's also used as a date rape drug, particularly if it's in combination with alcohol. That's going to knock you right out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right, and there's a bunch of other benzos, sleeping pills, and again, particularly when mixed with alcohol, a lot of these have a pretty sedative effect. So you can absolutely imagine that this could happen and you would not be aware, you wouldn't wake up.
Yeah, I mean, you would have no knowledge that anything happened.
Yeah.
Which is the really frightening part. Even if you've had a rough night with alcohol, you can the next day be like, oh my God, what did I do then? But yes, like mixed with something potentially like this, I mean, it's just horrifying.
Yeah, and we should probably say alcohol's likely the number one date rape drug, if you will, right? And that one's on a spectrum, right? Like if you have enough that you're blackout, sometimes there's opportunistic people that will take advantage. So
isn't it interesting that like I've even seen on men think this is funny on dating profiles where they say, if you don't look like your picture, you're buying the drinks until you do.
Oh yeah, I've seen that a bunch of times.
Yeah, and you're like, ha 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 ha. But
swipe left. Yeah, yeah, every time.
But there's this idea that like, women, they just want to go on dates, so men will buy them food and drinks. Sorry, Irish accent there. But at the same time, men also may have historically bought women a lot of drinks to get them into this state.
Yep.
So, help? Like, what is the answer here? Like, what is even happening?
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's wild stuff.
I mean, I think it's probably worth talking about what are the solutions here, like how do we stop this from happening? How do we stop this being an option? Because in reality, shutting down these websites isn't the issue. The judicial system isn't the answer, not the issue. The judicial system is clearly not the answer either. So, like, where does this problem start? Where does it begin?
That is a great question. And I think that this is kind of rooted in, once again, our patriarchal culture, right? So this is deeply rooted, these attitudes against women that eventually can manifest as violence and rape and sexual assault. But I would say that, for our men propping up the system, even if you personally would never harm a woman, you're still contributing to this problem if you're sort of participating in this like bro code, bro culture, because this is what facilitates this happening, right? I mean, you mentioned like the judicial system. And you're right, that's a problem. And that's one reason why rapes are severely underreported, because there's this issue of I'm not going to be believed, right? It's a he said, she said situation. Or even if there's evidence, right? Like how many rape kits are just sitting in fridges totally unexamined? We know that is a rampant problem in the United States.
And then it's too late.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's tough. And you ask a difficult question, like how do we unwind this? I don't know. I mean, this is a societal problem that is pretty hard to get at.
Yeah.
But I think we see some things that I would say exacerbate or facilitate or enable these kinds of behavior. And one of them is kind of this bro code, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't tell on your bros, right?
Yeah.
Like, just don't notice how your buddy treats women or responds to women. And you see that every time there is like a high profile case, like for example, Brett Kavanaugh, right? Lots of men come into his defense, and some women, by the way.
Yes.
Amy Chua, the Tiger Mom, wrote an op-ed defending him and did not retract it, even when a lot of people did, flocking to his defense. And what you'll hear a lot is, oh, I've never seen him behave that way. And it's like, yeah, well, you wouldn't, because he's doing that like to women behind closed doors.
Yeah, like he's not just, walking into the office.
Right, like he's not doing that in court, for example, right? So maybe you haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean it's not happening, right? So this refusal to believe women.
Yes.
Number one, right?
That's a really good place to start, in terms of, and also the assumption that, if you are making out with somebody or, getting to know somebody, that's just a reasonable expectation that they can push as far as they want.
Right.
And I remember as, a teenager and young adult, knowing that I didn't want to do certain things or I wasn't ready to do certain things, and always being aware of, how will I stop that happening? Will I say I have my period? Will I say, you know what I mean? And so it's like always a thing you've had to deal with and is normalized. If you're making out with them, then that's what you should be doing.
Clearly you consented to having sex, but that is not true.
It's not
Those
true.
are two different things. And yeah, I want to dig into that a little more, because you were searching, and I've done it too, for like a reason that a man is going to accept, right? To stop pressuring you for sex, essentially, right? And so
because you just don't
you're like,
want to.
oh, like I'm on my period, but like saying I don't want to isn't a valid enough answer.
Right.
They will argue with you, or at least some men will argue with you. They'll continue to try to push your boundaries. Actually, a similar sort of situation, like there's a reason a lot of women, to sort of discourage in advance, they're not interested in, will say, I'm married or I have a boyfriend.
Right.
And again, that's patriarchy, right? That's saying I'm already the property of a man.
Yeah.
And so men are more likely to respect that.
Because they're respecting the man they don't know.
Exactly.
Or that doesn't exist.
Right. Rather than respecting, I don't want to do that with you.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, saying I don't want to, that's an invitation for a lot of men to keep pushing boundaries, right? But if you're like, oh, I already belong to another man, they're more likely to step back. Now, not always. Sometimes they'll be like, well, he's not here right now, or like, I don't believe you, or like whatever. So sometimes like you'll get that pushing that continues, but that is often your best strategy.
Yeah, and the fact that we have known this from being a young woman, basically, that, again, I don't remember anybody sitting me down and giving me these strategies, but you just absorb them and know that you will have to use them. I remember reading some book as a teen, and they encouraged teen girls to read it. It was something about like, if a guy is making advances, you say you want to go and get a hamburger. Do you remember that book?
I do not.
It was like titled something along the same lines, but in hindsight, again, it's like teaching you no is not enough.
Well, because a lot of times it's not.
Right. You have to come up with a story. And like whether the person writing this book was doing this as a girl, it's not going to work, so you better get creative, or, you know, let's just make up a little story. I mean, what the hell? Like, this is insane.
Is the point of the hamburger to get to a public place where then you could potentially escape?
And a distraction.
Okay. I mean, you know, the number of times I've been asked by a male Uber driver, like, do you have a boyfriend?
Wow.
Are you here alone? Where are you going? Like, especially when you're getting picked up from the airport or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think most of us as women know the answer instinctively is always, yes, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
No, I'm not here alone.
Yep.
Yes, I'm going to meet my boyfriend right now.
Even to the point where you will fake phone call.
Oh, 100%.
I've definitely faked phone called.
Yep.
And there are actually some men on the internet who, on like Instagram and stuff, will provide you with a script.
Yes.
Where you can put it on speaker.
Yeah.
And you can practice the timing. I mean, what? Why? What? Like, what?
Like, why is this necessary?
Why do we have to live in this survival mode? And you're so right. I had an Uber driver once who was randomly taking me to my own graduation up at the U. I was going up, you know, early. My people were coming up after. And on hindsight, was asking me very specific questions that didn't seem ominous. And by the time I got home from my graduation ceremony that day, I had an email in my work email.
What?
And he's like, well, you know, I just asked a couple of questions about where you worked and looked you up. And he actually used the phrase, maybe you might be repulsed by me, but I would like to take you out. I would like to do this. And I was just like...
That's terrifying.
You're literally just going in an Uber.
Yeah.
Like a 10-minute drive. I was mostly on my phone because I was like coordinating with people through text. And it's like I can't even do small talk. This also happened to me on a ski lift one time, which I still marvel at because literally all that were visible was a little bit of my nose and my eyes because I had a gaiter on and a helmet and ski goggles, which I think I had put the goggles up, you know, on top of my helmet, and had like a couple of minute chatter, which I thought was very pleasant.
As you often do on the lift.
Again, another work email. I will never share where I work.
Yeah.
I won't even put my job on a dating profile now because I've also had people say, oh, I swiped on you, but you didn't swipe on me. But so I looked up, you know, parish, professor, whatever. I mean, everybody knows now. But like, you know what? I totally get now that with the interwebs, you can find anybody. Totally get all that. But it's like you can't even have small talk because it's entrapment.
Yeah, well, that's why I've put on my Uber profile no conversation, like silence, but they don't always respect that either, right? But I'm just like, I prefer not to talk.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
Like so for the men that say they don't know, let us tell you this. Imagine living like you are in the fucking Hunger Games or something all the time.
Right.
That it's always about survival. It's always about, you know, strategies.
Yep.
Like, do you consider that you just call an Uber and go? Do you consider that you can go on a date? And I'm not saying things don't happen to men, but, you know.
Well, can I stop you right there,
Yes.
actually, with things don't have it? Because I feel like this is something that men will sometimes say as a deflection. Okay, this whataboutism. Well, what about men who are raped and men who are sexually assaulted? And to be really clear, yes, that does happen.
And yes, we condemn that.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. But at least in this country, 91% of rape and sexual assault victims are female and 9% are male.
Yeah.
And over 99% of perpetrators are male. Okay, so fucking stop it with the whataboutism. Like, fucking stop it.
It's men on men,
Stop.
clearly, most of the time,
Well, and
too.
mostly, unfortunately, it's men on male children and teenagers and very young men. Okay, so that happens too. Yes, men do get raped.
Yeah.
It's usually
by a man.
children or near children, and it's
God.
by a man. Almost always. 1% of the time we're talking about a female perpetrator, at least by the stats.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cut it the fuck out.
Yeah, so fucking stop it.
Yes.
Yes, that exists. Yes, we don't like it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not like, that is a false equivalency to bring that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not even close.
And once again, the men that are raped are mostly very young, if not children. So not men, just
Wow.
male children.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stop it.
Oof. Yeah, that's the simple answer. One of the other approaches that's often presented as an option, which really, really pisses me off, is mothers teach your sons. Not to do this.
Yeah, sure, you should do that. But obviously that's not solving the problem.
Well, and also there's an inference there that previously mothers were not teaching their sons.
Yeah, well, once again, women, it's all your fault.
Right,
You didn't teach your sons that raping was bad.
Right.
They should fucking know that.
Yes. And it's, you for the most part, people are raising their children to be good humans, to respect people, to, stay in your lane. Don't be taking things that don't belong to you. But all of a sudden, as you say, it's just another way to blame women for this happening.
Yes, it's another way
Raise
to
your sons better, damn
Yeah,
it.
that's right. Another way to blame women.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, disgusting.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So what? Maybe I just need to feel like there's some kind of a solution out there, but.
I think we're doing what we can by way of education.
Yeah.
So, here's another thing that, perpetrates it, like you already mentioned, is these men with their heads in the sand that are shocked, I say shocked, to hear that anyone would ever sexually assault a woman.
My God. Fuck you, dude. I'm sorry. No.
Literally, though.
Yeah.
That level of naivete is just unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to a woman ever? Have you ever? Have you ever opened up the internet, right? Have you read a news article from time to time?
Yeah.
Because this isn't hidden. This is out there all the time. Have you consumed media, right?
Do you have a mother?
Right?
A sister?
God, a female friend.
Right.
Have you even watched the sort of gritty TV shows, right? Violence against women, real common in those.
Real common.
Right? Have you consumed porn? And I'm not saying that pornography is necessarily bad. I myself enjoy some porn from time to time. But there is a strain of it that is incredibly violent towards women, and it's problematic, and it's pretty pervasive. And I would also throw into there all the, quote, barely legal shit.
Yes. Well, and also just the fact, again, and no judgment, if people like it or they've done it, that's not what I'm saying. But when you even consider a lot of actions that are displayed in porn or even sexual relationships, a lot of it is centered on harm to the woman.
Yeah.
Not the man. Not put your hand around the throat of a man doesn't come up nearly as frequently as...
Yeah.
And again, no judgment. If that's your thing, you enjoy it in the moment. But it's this cultural idea that those things are hot.
Yeah.
Right? You should want to get slapped. You should want to be choked. You should want to be, and again, no judgment. But why is it always against women?
Yes, some people do actually, legitimately enjoy that.
Yeah.
And no shade if that is a
Not
consensual, safe thing that you are doing.
Emphasis on the consensual.
Yeah.
But why is it always against the woman?
Yeah.
Why is it not a hot thing out there to slap a man's ass?
Well, there is actually that. I can, if you'd like, we can peruse some of that later.
But not as a pervasive.
It is much rarer.
Yes.
Compared to the violence against women sort of style of porn. So, yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
You see, in the just not pornography, but in the regular media as well, violence against children, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that happens. Okay?
Yeah.
Same thing. Another thing that you'll sort of hear a lot is men are like, oh yeah, but women can make it up. There are false reports. Now, it's true that there are. Mm-hmm. As far as we can tell, this is very rare, okay?
Yeah.
2% of the time is one statistic. These are hard statistics to come by, right? Does that happen? Yes. Is that the vast, vast, vast majority of reports? Absolutely not, okay? Most of the time, the woman's telling the truth.
Well, and you could argue, I would love to know the stats in the other direction of people not reporting or people that are reporting. I reported a sexual harassment incident 3 times before it was even taken seriously, and it was only starting to be taken seriously because the person I was reporting it to realized that they could get into trouble because they laughed and made jokes about our height difference on the first 2 rounds of me reporting it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so it was sort of self-interest that was taken in the case. So that was for arguably not a fun experience, but something a lot more minor than a full-on assault, rape, or like drugging your wife and putting it on the internet, right?
Still not okay. Still on the same spectrum of violence against
same
women.
Mentality of this idea of like, well, what is the big deal? You should be fine to be touched when you said you don't want to be touched, or you should be, like, what?
Yeah, or to have inappropriate comments directed at you.
Yeah. So when you're telling me that, well, sometimes women make it up, okay, cool, and...
Yeah, more often.
Yes.
They're not believed.
They are not believed.
Yeah.
And you just see this over and over. And also, we will never know the instances that are not reported. And apparently, we don't even know happened.
Yeah.
Because
in some
you're
cases,
unconscious.
Horrible.
So, yeah, that's a bullshit argument. Like, another false equivalency.
Yeah, that's it. Another false equivalency.
Yep.
Let's see. I would also say that slut shaming women, that's another tactic, right? Because that kind of plays into the clearly she was asking for it strand of things, right?
Yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, no.
No. Please stop.
Please stop.
Yep.
Right. But somehow that's never like sort of leveled against men, right? If they sleep around, oh, awesome, right? Like, what a cool guy. Like, he gets all this like pussy.
Stud.
Yeah. But if a woman sleeps around, well, what a slut. And then if she is assaulted, like, that lack of belief is there too.
Yeah, it's just embedded into it. And if you even consider language and, that a man is often referred to as this large horse, like a stud, and yet a woman is a slut, and you even have to preface slut with man slut, or because it's inherently feminine. Yeah. And so it's embedded into our very language.
It is.
At a very like fundamental language, as are insults from a very young age. Boys being told, don't cry like a little girl, or you're acting like a little girl. Like, it's so, embedding this idea in children that bad.
Right, that women are inferior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being like a girl is bad.
Right. So you got to like bro up, right? Like bro out something and act more like a man. And part of that includes derogatory comments or actions towards women.
Yeah. And I think busting the myth, as you mentioned as well, that, but it's just natural in men. They want sex and women don't want it as much, which... If you just look at the way bodies are designed, right? Like, okay, well then, why can a man for the most part just have one orgasm?
Right.
Why do women have it built in that we can have multiple?
A whole lot.
Like, it doesn't, from a quote unquote nature perspective, that argument doesn't even hold.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And sometimes people will point to like, oh, well, it's easy to get a man to hook up, but it's hard to get a woman to hook up. And like the conclusion they're drawing is, oh, women just don't want sex or they don't want casual sex. I would say that is not true. I would like to have sex. I'd like to have casual sex. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic.
Great.
But when you have to do all the calculus around your safety, well,
kind
then
of a turn off.
It's a little risk-benefit situation, right? And you're like, well, what risks am I taking for, this hookup?
Exactly.
And a lot of times, I'm sorry, it's just not worth it.
100%. I think that is so good to mention that and spelling it out real clear for men who complain, good men, nice guys who
quote
complain,
unquote.
That, oh yeah, my wife doesn't put out as often as I'd like, or my girlfriend doesn't want to have sex. Sir, why?
Yeah.
Why could that be? Like, it's not because she has a low sex drive. I can guarantee that's probably
some people do. Some people do.
Things, hormones, and
some men do too, though.
Yes.
I've had that mismatch before.
Yeah, it's just not a decisive conclusion you can draw about all of humanity.
I just feel like those are men telling on themselves.
Yeah.
You're like, what a cute way to say I'm not good at sex.
Did someone say Ben Shapiro?
I know. Yeah. Getting wet isn't natural. My wife never gets wet. Oh, Ben Shapiro.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Yeah.
He had that weird tweet that he deleted, too, about fantasizing about having sex with his sister.
What?
I'll have to dig that one up. I can't remember the exact words, but I know.
There are multiple layers
He's
there.
He's a problematic little man.
Wow.
Yeah.
His wife doesn't get wet, but he sure hopes his sister does. Oh my God.
That's not natural.
Yeah, if we want to talk about natural, it's just amazing the amount of things that are put out there as natural.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I don't know. I think we've said a lot of things.
Yes.
There's a lot more I think that we could say. I think it really upsets me when men have this attitude that violence against women is kind of something that doesn't have anything to do with them.
Yes. Because, again, what we're trying to do here too, Mr. Nice Guy's talking to you as well, is, maybe when you're talking to your friend that's a woman, why are you touching her all the time?
Oh, yeah.
Stop that.
That's actually really pervasive. That happens a lot. Yeah. And I honestly, a lot of times I don't even say anything when men are touching me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, whatever. Like,
well, because you'll be called, you're overreacting, you just don't like them, blah, blah, blah. But
I'm not touching you that much. I didn't do that. Like, yeah.
No. And so maybe stop.
Yeah, stop it.
That's a simple thing that you can do today.
Yeah.
Stop. You don't need to rub her arm or keep reaching out
or her
multiple
back
times.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah.
Keep your hands in your pockets.
Yeah.
If you need to.
Keep them somewhere else.
Just do it. And you know what, men, if you're out there still saying, well, I had no idea. Ask.
Yeah, that's true. Consent.
Yes. And also ask the women in your life, has this happened? Maybe tread lightly. Don't go in triggering the shit out of people, but, tell me your experiences. Maybe this is another reason why men should ask more questions generally.
Yeah, I think that's a reason. I think that you don't necessarily want to ask your female friends to do a whole bunch of work, like in the same way that you don't want to go to, a member of an ethnic or racial minority and put the whole burden on them to educate you.
Of course.
You can go to the fucking internet.
Yeah.
You can look some shit up on your own.
Yeah.
You can still ask questions, but
show interest.
Right, but you don't have to be like, oh, hey,
tell me.
Please explain this whole thing to me.
List your traumas so that I can be a better man.
Yeah, exactly. Look at me doing the work.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, women do that too in that other situation. But yeah, maybe look a thing up now and then.
Yes, and do your own research. Stop.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Don't put it on the victimized and re-victimize. And I mean, women have a role to play in this too, right?
Absolutely.
Don't protect the shitty men in your life either.
Yeah,
your
that's
brothers,
a good point too.
Your relatives.
Yeah. Again,
some personal experience there of a woman I know who's always posting, believe women, and yet will protect her brother to the nth degree.
Right, and this is a person that has multiple allegations against him, right? I mean, we're not just talking about a one-off here.
Multiple. Yeah. And also, I would argue she knows in her heart of hearts they've seen the aftermath, shall we say. And so, the bro code can also extend to women, mothers protecting sons, people protecting siblings. No.
Yeah.
No.
That's true.
Just no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I would just say, kind of wake up.
Yeah.
Right? This is a pervasive problem.
Mm-hmm. And it starts small. It starts with those tiny entitlements. It starts with the
little touches, the little comments,
gendered insults,
all the stuff. Yep,
all of the things. And so, we can start small, and all do our part.
Yeah.
Please make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Please make rape academies a thing of the past. Please make the fact that there's this alpha male movement where you're allowed to have multiple partners as the man, but the woman isn't allowed. I mean, there are just so many layers. Just stop.
Nick Cannon or whatever.
The what?
Nick Cannon.
Oh.
Doesn't he have 20-some babies by different women?
God.
And most of them are monogamous with him, even though he has all of these.
It's just wild. The rules that are applied are just insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I also want to mention just one more thing, and this is unfortunately an example of intersectionality, I suppose,
yeah.
where women of color are more likely to be sexually assaulted than white women.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so we should mention that as well.
100%. And, missing and murdered Indigenous women,
Yeah.
I mean, that has been for centuries.
Yeah.
And is still the same. And, when I moved to this land, I remember hearing a lot of like negative talk around reservations and such. And what's interesting, it wasn't the right kind of negative talk. It was very blamey on people within reservations, when we know statistically that the majority of sexual assaults that take place on reservations are committed by men. I mean, a lot of them are literal man camps. Extractive industries, for example, they'll bring, men en masse to live in Indigenous communities. And I just finished a class on this last week, so the stats are fresh in my head.
That is interesting that you should say that, because at least in the United States, Indigenous women are the only group of women that are far more likely to be sexually assaulted by a white man, someone outside their race,
yes.
right?
Than the stats that we've cited here today.
Right.
Yep. Very much worth mentioning, and also the lack of interest from law enforcement around those women.
Zero.
Being murdered or going missing or being assaulted is, zero.
And I'm going to throw one more grim and disgusting, point out there, which is that people who are developmentally delayed, handicapped, or have a psychiatric disorder are much more likely to be assaulted than people who do not. Okay, and that's true for men too, but the stats I saw was 83% of developmentally delayed women, and about a third of developmentally delayed men have experienced that.
My God.
People with severe psychiatric problems are twice as likely as the rest of the population to be assaulted, which is already high. Double it for them.
Yes.
Yeah. So once again, this is men, and again, 99% men. So don't both sides. What about me here?
Yeah. Don't come at us.
Yeah. Picking on vulnerable people.
Yep. And I think that's key, right?
Yeah.
You're unconscious, vulnerable. Yeah. You have a severe psychiatric disorder, vulnerable.
You're developmentally delayed, vulnerable.
Right.
You're a person of color who is not going to go to law enforcement, vulnerable.
So what's the common denominator here?
I think
Yeah, I don't think we need to repeat it again. So, my friends, male, female, however you identify, this is why women choose the bear.
Yep.
If you were left in any doubt, let there be doubt no more. We don't want it to be this way.
We really don't.
This isn't a fuck man. We want it to be different. We would like to go for leisurely strolls. We would like to not,
carry pepper spray.
Right? Or figure out inventive ways to put it in your luggage when you're traveling so you have it. Can we not live like that? We would love to not live like that.
We would love it.
We would love to be recording an episode, a recap on a reality TV show right now.
Agreed.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So, I guess to wrap up, our salty hoes, stay safe out there.
Yes. Salty bros, be better.
Yeah, and I would assume most of our salty bros listening are the kind of people who would not hurt a woman.
Yep.
Okay. If that's the case, maybe think a little harder about sort of your own attitudes, okay, and how you might be contributing to this. So a little self-reflection maybe. And if any of this is news to you, maybe a little education.
Yeah, we all have blind spots.
Sure.
And, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But if we are satisfied to live with them, that's not so fair enough.
Yes, that's right. We believe in progress. We don't believe in canceling people.
Yes.
Okay, but no better, do better, right?
Illumination.
Yeah.
Yes. All the good stuff.
Whew, okay.
We need a wee nap after that.
You know what I want to do is go hang out with some bears in the wild. I kind of feel like I want to go for a hike right now.
Yeah, just shake it all off.
Yeah, right.
Hang out with the safe bears.
The uncomplicated bears.
Indeed. At least we have a rhyme to protect ourselves there.
Yeah.
It's pretty foolproof.
That's right.
Thank you for teaching me, by the way.
I'm always here with frivolous nature facts.
I love it.
All right, friends, we're going to sign off now. If you liked this episode, you know what to do. You can give us a 5-star rating. You can write us a little review. You can follow us. That just takes a second. Or you can give us a comment. You can also text us or email us, write in, tell us what you think. What do you want to hear? If you have anything you want to share, please let us know. We would be happy to discuss it on a future episode.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.